it, everybody? Welcome back to the channel where we basically talk money. And the type of money that I'm talking about is things like credit cards, credit unions, crypto, banks, the stock market, travel hacks, grants, and side hustles. If any of that stuff is what you like, you're in the right place. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and share. And I would appreciate that very much. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, allows the channel to grow and reach a wider audience so we can disperse this information and keep this community growing, not only with information, but growing financially. All right, so today's video is about credit, and then particularly getting your credit limit increased through Capital One. Now, I learned this particular hack from trial and rejection with my own personal Capital One account and figuring out what exactly they're looking at and what they're considering when they give you or don't give you an increase. So the first thing I want to say is that a person is not physically looking at your Capital One credit line increase request. It's automated. It's going through a computer. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to open up your Capital One account, because you're not going to call anybody or anything like that. It's going to be done totally online. So let's open up your Capital One account, and once you get it open, on the right side you'll see a tab that says I want to. So you're going to click on that tab that says I want to, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of options that you should see in front of you if you're in that tab now. One of those options at the very bottom on the left side is going to say request credit limit increase. So if you go down to the request credit limit increase and then you click on that, it's going to give you another little window that'll pop up within the window that's going to tell you that you can request the credit limit increase without an impact to your credit score. In other words, it's going to be a soft pull, and it's always a soft pull. It is not a hard inquiry to get your credit limit increase with Capital One. It's going to ask you a series of questions. It's going to ask you about your annual income. It's going to ask about your employment status, your occupation, what you pay in monthly rent, how much you planning to spend on the credit card, what your maximum desired line is. And it's also going to ask you at the very bottom that I had to put into another slide, why you're requesting the credit line increase. Now I'm going to tell you what I will put down to some of these questions. Well, for income, put down what you make or what you can prove that you make in the event that you are manually underwritten and they ask for some type of documentation. Now, Capital One is typically stated income on the personal side. The chances that I'm asking for documentation are slim, but I just say, you know, if you put down $400,000 as your income, you may need to be able to prove that. If you put down your income as $110,000, you may not need to prove that. So that part is totally at your discretion. As far as employment status, credit cards always view being employed as the most favorable status for you to have over self-employed or not employed, or, you know, they would prefer you to be employed. So you're going to put down your employment status, and you're going to put down the type of occupation that you have. And if it were me, I would just make sure that, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm a busboy in a restaurant and I make $120,000 a year, if that makes sense to you. If you say you're in sales, marketing, maybe property management, you know, you want to put down an occupation that's going to match up with that particular amount of income that you have. So I'm just saying, if it were me, I wouldn't say that I have a job that typically has a lower wage and then put an extremely high wage as my, you know, income. All right, so moving on. All right, so when you get to the part about how much you're asking for, I would put a reasonable amount down. If you have a $4,000 limit, probably going to $10,000 would be pretty cool, right? So I will put down a reasonable amount that I'm asking for as far as an increase. And then as far as how much I'm going to use, I would say at least 25% of the line that I'm proposing to get. So if I'm proposing to take my line from $4,000 to $10,000, I would probably say I want to use at least $2,500 a month. Now, at the very bottom, when it asks you why you're asking for an increase, the reasons that they give you are you have a large upcoming one-time purchase, you expect higher expenses over the next few months, or your current line doesn't meet the long-term spending needs, and then they have other in there. The one that I would choose here is that the current line does not meet my long-term spending needs. And that's alerting the credit card issuer that you're planning to use this card more than you maybe were previously using it. And that's the reason why I would choose that. So then you're going to hit submit. And again, it's a soft inquiry. But before you hit submit, I want to look at the reasons why most people get turned down. And if any of this stuff fits you, you may want to wait before you make your limit increase request. So let's take a look at those. All right, so one of the first reasons that you won't get your increase approved is because your account's just too new. Typically 6 to 9 months before you're going to get your first limit increase, and it determines on how responsible you are with the card. So 6 to 9 months on a limit increase. If there's been any type of recent changes to the credit line account. So if you've had it for a while and you had an increase in the last 6 months, it's a good chance you're going to be denied. They usually don't do more than 1 in 6 months. It can happen, but it's not typical. If you've had a late payment recently, you probably aren't going to be approved if you've had a late payment. If the average payment has been too low. Now this one there's some dispute on, because if you're making minimum payments or just above minimum payments and have a high balance, there is still a chance that they will increase your credit limit, not only by your own request, but organically on their own. Because if you are basically using your card a lot and paying mostly interest, the card issuer, the credit card company, is making money off of you, and they like that. And I know people that carry balances, large balances, and they're paying just a little bit above the minimum, which is basically mostly interest and just a little bit on the principal, which means they'll be paying forever. So credit card companies like those type of customers, and sometimes they will just increase your card limit based on that. But if you're having that problem, that sounds like a responsibility usage problem, and that would need to be addressed. If they're saying that you have a recent delinquency from, if you think you have a recent delinquency from another credit reporting agency like Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, you need to address that first, because if you got that negative showing up, that could get an automatic denial. Or if your score is too low. So if you know that your score is kind of low, you know, it's a good chance that they may not increase you. If you're sitting there at a 599, you're basically lucky that you have an account. This is one that you can fix, and fix easily. Recent usage of this account's credit line has been too low. So if you have this problem, and I had this problem when I had a pretty low account level at around $4,000, I was using my card every month to pay one bill, and that bill was about $10 a month. So I was using well under 1% of my credit line. And I tried to get an increase a couple times, and I got turned down. So what I did was I waited till I had a large expense coming up. I paid that large expense through my Capital One card. I allowed it 1 month to cycle, and then I went back and I replied again after it had a month to cycle. That made my previous usage average over the last several months go up, and my card was increased by more than double. Now, how do you do that without incurring a temporary hit on your credit from credit utilization? That's pretty easy too. What you're going to do is find out when your statement date closes and pay that expense after the statement date is closed. So if your statement date closes every month on the 25th, make that purchase, say, on the 27th, and pay for that purchase before the next statement closes, so it won't report that way. But wait until it's almost time. So if the statement closes on the 25th, pay it on the 27th, and then pay it off, say, the following month on the 23rd. That's going to allow you to let it sink into their system, so it'll show that you had the usage. It's also going to let you benefit from getting the rewards points, and you will not have the hit to your credit utilization from making that really large purchase and letting it cycle onto your actual credit report. Okay, so there it is. That should get you your Capital One line increase. Those are the things you would have to fix. Some of the stuff might take a little bit longer than others, but I want you to know exactly what you're up against, so your chances of getting increased when you apply for your Capital One line increase are exponentially improved. Capital One is a soft pull credit line increase card issuer, so you don't have to worry about getting dinged as far as, you know, having hard inquiries. But at the same time, you don't want to also have a just keep trying and getting denied over and over and over again. So if you found value in that content, please help me out with a like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell too while you're at it. And hey, let's meet in the penthouse, guys, because there's way too many people in the basement. Time to level up financially. Until next time, I'm gone. Peace.